Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mind for Combat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan, and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, and maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, in this video, I'll be breaking down a fantasy fight between the undefeated, undisputed lightweight champion of the world, as it stands right now, because he hasn't officially retired, according to Dana White, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and in my opinion, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time in Georges St-Pierre. Now, just a caveat before I go into this fight, I'm going to break this fight down as I would see it play out today, because this fight is being spoken about right now. So the breakdown for this fight is going to be based on today's version of Georges St-Pierre, not a prime Georges St-Pierre, but today's version of Georges St-Pierre. Also, because it has been discussed previously, I'm going to imagine that this fight takes place at 155, because that's what Georges St-Pierre said he wanted to do. He said he could make 155. He said it will be a dream for him to go down to 155 to make the fight, and Khabib has been adamant that he doesn't want to go up to 170. Who knows how it plays out if the fight actually happens, but that's the parameters on which I'm breaking down the fight. So bear that in mind as you watch the breakdown. Anyways, this would of course be an incredible fight, and in my opinion, the winner of this would arguably have the case as being the greatest of all time. In Georges St-Pierre's case, I think he is the greatest of all time, and if he won this, all it will do will further cement it and push everyone so much further back. These are two guys that have been such great representatives of the sport of mixed martial arts and have been so dominant in their sports. Khabib Nurmagomedov never lost a fight, and Georges St-Pierre revenged every loss he had to Matt Hughes, one of the greatest welterweights of all time, and Matt Serra, kind of a fluky win, but whatever, it happened, and he revenged them both in dominating fashion. In Matt Hughes' case, he revenged it twice, moved on to defend his welterweight title 8 times, and then win the middleweight title after a long hiatus. So I think Georges St-Pierre and Khabib Nurmagomedov are the cream of the crop, the top of the top when it comes to the world of mixed martial arts, and we're talking about legends. Anyways, without me fanboying over both of these guys too much, let's go into this fight and let's break it down. Khabib Nurmagomedov is currently 32 years old. Georges St-Pierre is currently 39 years old. As we've seen in Khabib's most recent fights, he's still very much in his prime. He's still got a long way to go. If he wanted to fight, I would say he could easily be fighting for another 3-4 years at the top of the level without losing too much of a step in his game, considering he hasn't taken too much damage. Georges St-Pierre is 39 years old and hasn't fought since he came back to beat Michael Bisping to win the middleweight belt in 2017. That's gone over 3 years now, and that's only one fight he's had in 7 years. So Georges St-Pierre is not in his prime. He's an older man, and actually physically, whilst he looks like he's in great shape, I saw in that fight with Michael Bisping that he actually looked like he was slowing down and was starting to get tagged up. Yes, he pulled through and was able to get the win, but Georges St-Pierre is not in his prime and is actually on the decline. I would say athletically, although he looks in great shape, I would give that edge to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib Nurmagomedov will come into this fight with a professional record of 29 wins and 0 losses, and Georges St-Pierre is got a professional record of 26 wins and 2 losses. 2 exceptional mixed martial arts records, and both guys who have fought the very best in the world in their respective decisions. Both Khabib and Georges St-Pierre stand at 5'10", so that's identical, but where the difference is in Georges St-Pierre's reach, as he has a 6-inch reach advantage over Khabib with a 76-inch reach, and Khabib has a 70-inch reach. That's a 6-inch reach advantage for a man who I would consider a significantly better boxer and striker in general that would bear witness in if this fight was to play out. To describe Khabib's style, I think we all know what he's about. He can take you down, he's going to smash you, he's going to maul you, he's going to be over you the whole time, and he's getting more and more prolific in finishing his opponents. His last 3 wins have all been finishes, all by submission. He's a very dangerous man. To describe Georges St-Pierre's style, yes, he shined in wrestling later on in his career, but actually he came from a karate background. He's got great stand-up, trained with Freddie Roach extensively, he's got great boxing. We saw that he dropped Michael Bisping with a left hook at middleweight. So this is a guy who can do it all, and I think my personal favourite asset of Georges St-Pierre was his stand-up. Just look at his fights with guys like Josh Koscheck, Jake Shields, Michael Bisping. Throughout the years, all the guys that he beat and how he beat them, he's always been so incredible on his feet and on the ground. He's just all-round brilliant. They're key wins now. So we'll start with Khabib Nurmagomedov. His key wins would include guys like Rafael dos Anjos, Michael Johnson when he was a top 10 fighter. He had just knocked out Dustin Poirier. He's taken Al Iaquinta, who's a top 15 perennial contender. He's obviously stopped Conor McGregor, the former champ. He stopped Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. What a great list of wins there at lightweight. Definitely the greatest lightweight of all time in my opinion. For Georges St-Pierre, I could do a video on his wins, but we go all the way back to early UFC days when he was taking out guys like Caro Parisian. He's of course beaten Matt Hughes not once but twice. He's beaten Jason Mayhem Miller. He's beaten Matt De Terracero to revenge that loss. Thiago Alves when he was unbeatable. Josh Koscheck twice when he was relatively unbeatable. Of course, he's beaten Nick Diaz, Carlos Condit. He's beaten Johnny Hendricks, Michael Bisping. The list goes on. Georges St-Pierre has beaten BJ Penn twice. So many great fighters have been beaten by Georges St-Pierre. Georges St-Pierre is arguably the greatest of all time, and I'm just going to keep saying that in this video because I really want people to understand that. But anyways, the issues coming into this fight for Khabib Nurmagomedov will be on the feet. I think he'll be very susceptible to Georges St-Pierre, who would have a definitive advantage on the feet. And the issues for Georges St-Pierre coming into this fight would be age, inactivity, and indeed a weight cut to 155, which he has never done before. The X factor for Khabib will be the fact that he's still in his youth, still in his prime. The X factor for Georges St-Pierre will be his technical prowess on the feet and the fact that I think he is so much better than Khabib on the feet. Let's get into the breakdown. Right, so this is an interesting one, and I think it's really not as simple as wrestler versus striker, because it's not, because Georges St-Pierre is an exceptional wrestler and Georges St-Pierre might be even able to out-grapple Khabib. This is where some differences lie. Now, Georges St-Pierre would be making the cut to 155 for the first time at near 40 years old. Call him 40 by the time the fight happens, right? That is going to take a lot out of his body. That's going to diminish his chin. That's going to diminish his conditioning. It's going to diminish a lot out of him, especially considering how old he is making that cut for the first time. He's obviously an expert and he'll do it all very meticulously and he'll get down properly, but I don't think it will be so easy. Now, Khabib Nurmagomedov, I think, would come in with a straight-up game plan. He's, of course, accustomed and comfortable at lightweight, despite how big he might be. He's going to come in there looking to take Georges St-Pierre down. Georges St-Pierre will defend 1, maybe defend 2, maybe defend 3, 5, or even 10. I think eventually Georges St-Pierre will start to get taken down by Khabib. And I think whilst he will get battered on the feet, as long as he's on the feet, I think he'll get outboxed and outmaneuvered. Whenever the opportunity comes, I think Khabib will be taking down Georges St-Pierre, and I think when he gets down, he's going to suffocate him. As the fight goes on, I think Georges St-Pierre is going to tire. Now, I know it's weird to say that Georges St-Pierre will gas, considering we've never seen Georges St-Pierre gas, but considering he'll be making the cut to 155 for the first time in his career, considering he's 40 years old, considering he's had 1 fight in 7 years, considering when we saw him against Michael Bisping, yes, he beat Michael Bisping, but he was getting bloodied and battered and outstruck, and he was starting to get exhausted, and it came through because he dropped Bisping and finished him. But I don't think Khabib would give him those opportunities. I think Khabib's very tunnel visioned in how he's going to approach this fight, and I think there'll be no question that Khabib will be taking this fight down eventually, and as he takes him down more and more throughout the fight, I think Georges St-Pierre will tire more and more. When we look at Georges St-Pierre, we look at a guy who's exceptional at everything, and he will beat Khabib in a stand-up fight. The question becomes if Georges St-Pierre is able to keep this on the feet long enough to do significant damage where Khabib is diminished. Now, that is very much a possibility. And I'll be honest with you guys, if I was breaking this fight down with a 29-year-old version of Georges St-Pierre, forget it. Even if I was breaking down this fight with a 32-year-old version of Georges St-Pierre versus a 32-year-old version of Khabib, or even a 35-year-old version of Georges St-Pierre who had been maybe a bit more active, I would pick GSP 8 or 9 times out of 10, but that's not the case in this fight. We're talking about a 39-year-old Georges St-Pierre who's never cut down to 155, who hasn't fought really in the last decade. He's been fighting once in the last 7 years. I think Khabib Nurmagomedov at this stage in his career would get it done, and although he would hold the win over Georges St-Pierre, I wouldn't consider that he beat Georges St-Pierre in his prime, if that makes any sense. But fight fans, for my official prediction, in this fight, if it was to play out in 2021, I would say that Khabib Nurmagomedov will get the win. Anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown, enjoyed what I thought about the fight, and see how I see it going. I'd love to know how you guys see it going, so remember to comment below. Let me know what you think about the fight. Let me know if you enjoyed the breakdown. If you're new here, remember to like, subscribe, share the video, all that jazz. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm Rohan, and this is Mindful Combat.